Just for a quick review of bonus points, which the Commission considered in 2006 and 2010, the bonus point system would reward unsuccessful controlled hunt applicants by giving them additional opportunities to draw in subsequent years. This was considered again twice by the Commission in 2006 and 2010, but the Commission chose not to implement this system. This type of method of changing odds would increase the likelihood that any single applicant would experience the average drawing odds in any given year. I'll explain a little bit about how that works. For bonus points, overall odds for a given deer hunt do not change. However, every individual is more likely to actually experience that average over time. What this graph shows is that odds are actually worse for a given individual for the first few years of applying, simply because they don't have very many points in the system. So what you have here is the red line, which is on top, is the current system, the random draw. Each touch point on here, 0.189, 0.378, etc., is cumulative odds accruing over the course of several years. As you can see, in this example, the odds are basically slightly less than 1 in 5. So, as I mentioned before, on average, hunters would draw 1 in every 5 years in this kind of hunt. In any given year, however, their odds are just under 20%. Under a bonus point system, for the first few years that an applicant is accruing points, their odds are actually much less than 20%. They only have a couple of points in the system, and they're competing against folks who have far, far more points than they do. So for the first year that someone's accrued bonus points in this type of system, their odds are actually just about 2%. The next year they've accrued some points, their odds are up to about 5.5%. The next year, some more points, their odds are up to about 15%. After about 3 years of putting in, their odds begin to exceed the average odds under the current system, and their odds are about 33%. But what's interesting about this system is that where these two lines actually exceed 1% drawing odds, and it's important to note that's not a guarantee of drawing, it's just where your cumulative odds finally exceed 1 indicates how long on average it's going to take you to draw, how many years of putting in, is at almost exactly the same point. It's at about 5 years. So it would take, under a bonus point system, an applicant the same amount of time to draw, about 5 years, as it would under the current random draw system. What it removes is some of that unpredictability of the system. Because your odds increase year after year after year, in year 5, you are really pretty likely to draw. It's really unlikely that you're going to be that person who, even though the average is 1 in 5, you're not experiencing that average. So it kind of gets rid of the really lucky people and the really unlucky people and brings everybody towards the center, but it doesn't actually change how often you're going to draw any given hunt. So again, just like all the other ways of changing drawing odds, this has some trade-offs. It gets rid of the lucky and unlucky applicants, like I stated before. Hunters have the feeling that they're actually working towards something. They're accruing some interest, basically, in the system and more chances of actually drawing that hunt. And it increases the likelihood that any given individual will eventually draw their preferred hunt. However, it would accrue an additional application fee of approximately $6.25. It has some potential to negatively affect new hunters. As I mentioned before, for the first few years in the system, your drawing odds are worse than they are right now, and so new hunters may get discouraged about their inability to draw some of these controlled hunts. There are a lot of details to be worked out with bonus points, and in fact, in the most recent survey, slightly more than 50% of hunters would support a bonus point system. So hunters are still relatively on the fence about whether to implement something like this or not.